My friends, my brothers, my sisters, tonight we speak of a subject that some whisper about, some laugh about, some turn away from with shy faces and nervous smiles. But I tell you this, we will not whisper, we will not shrink, we will not pretend, because there is nothing shameful in the truth of bodies, in the power of intimacy, in the courage of a man who devotes himself fully to the pleasure of a woman. There is greatness there, there is majesty there, and it is time we said it aloud. The man who kneels before a woman, the man who lowers himself not out of weakness, but out of strength, the man who uses his mouth as both instrument and offering. He is not just a lover. He is an artist. He is a student of devotion. He is a man who understands that power is not only in conquering, but in surrendering, not only in taking, but in giving, not only in demanding, but in worshiping. Consider the courage it takes to face another person in their most vulnerable form, to taste and touch what is most private, most delicate, most hidden, most feared. To say without words, I accept you, I honor you, I cherish every part of you. That is not the work of the selfish. That is not the work of the timid. That is the work of the most confident, the most fearless, the most unashamed. And yet, how often is this act dismissed, hidden under dirty jokes, tucked into the corner of conversations as if it were something indecent. But it is not indecent. It is sacred. It is honest. It is the language of true intimacy, spoken not with the tongue of deceit, but with the tongue of flesh itself. A man who chooses this path declares something profound. I am not afraid of you. I am not afraid of your pleasure. I am not afraid of your power, because let us be real. To give a woman that kind of pleasure is to give her power. It is to place her at the center, to make her not the object but the subject, and many men cannot do this. They cannot surrender their ego. They cannot bear to lift someone else higher. But the man who can, the man who delights in doing so, proves himself greater than those who cling to pride. He is not threatened by the greatness of a woman's pleasure. He is fulfilled by it. He is crowned by it. Think of the patience it requires. To slow down, to listen, to sense. To read the body not as a puzzle to solve, but as a symphony to follow. To let the rhythm of breath and the tremor of skin guide the hand, the mouth, the heart. This is not a race. This is not a transaction. This is devotion in motion, and the man who embraces it becomes more than a partner. He becomes a giver of joy, a guardian of delight, a bringer of peace. And I ask you now, what could be more manly than that? What could be stronger than the man who says, I do not need to be above you to prove myself. I do not need to dominate you to feel powerful. My power is in your laughter, your moans, your release. My strength is in the way you collapse into me afterward, trembling, alive, transformed. Tell me, who is more of a man? The one who takes and runs, or the one who stays and gives until you are overflowing? Yes, my friends, we live in a world that too often teaches men to fear intimacy, to fear closeness, to fear the raw and unpolished reality of a woman's body. But the one who pushes through that fear, the one who not only accepts but desires, the one who does not flinch but embraces, that is a man who has freed himself from the prison of shame. He has become the most fearless lover, the most trusted companion, the most complete man. And let us not forget the joy of play, because this act is not only serious, not only sacred, it is also fun. It is laughter and teasing and the thrill of surprise. It is the mischievous delight of giving someone more than they expected, more than they thought possible. It is a game played with lips and tongue, a dance of sensation, a performance of pleasure. And the man who plays it well is not only a lover. He is a poet of the body, a comedian of joy, a master of delight. Do you see now? It is not a small thing. It is not a side note. It is not an afterthought. It is a declaration of manhood. To say, I am not afraid to serve, I am not afraid to adore, I am not afraid to give, and in giving, I become the greatest. So let no one mock it, let no one shame it, let no one pretend that it is less than noble, because the truth is, the man who gives himself in this way is not the least. He is the most fearless, the most confident, the most generous, the most alive. And to those who do not understand, who roll their eyes, who laugh in the back row, I say this: one day you will learn. One day you will discover that true strength is not in what you withhold, but in what you offer. One day you will realize that a man is measured not only by how he enters a woman, but by how he lifts her higher than herself. One day you will see that the ones you laughed at were not the fools. They were the kings. So let us celebrate them tonight. Let us speak their praise. Let us declare the truth without shame, without fear, without hesitation. Because the truth is plain and simple, the men who lick are the most. They are the most because they dare. They are the most because they give. They are the most because they know that to love is not to hoard, but to share. They are the most because they understand that a woman's body is not a battlefield to conquer, but a garden to tend, to water, to nurture, to enjoy. They are the most because they embrace intimacy not as weakness, but as glory. And when the lights go down, when the world is quiet, when the body speaks louder than the voice, it is these men who prove themselves. It is these men who leave their mark. It is these men who will be remembered not for what they demanded, but for what they gave. And so I say again, and I will say it until the last echo fades, the men who do this, the men who give in this way, the men who honor women with lips and tongue and heart and patience, they are not the least, they are the most. And if we look deeper, if we peel back the surface of laughter and taboo, we see something even more profound. We see that this act is not only about pleasure, but about equality. Because in that moment, the man says, I am not above you, I am not below you, I am with you. He sets aside the notion that intimacy is one-sided. He tears down the old lie that only men may receive while women must quietly endure. No, he says, tonight we rewrite the story. Tonight we begin with your body, your joy, your fire. Tonight you rise first, and I am honored to be the one who lifts you there. Do you hear what that means? It means that in the simple press of tongue to flesh, a man rewrites centuries of silence. In that one gesture, he challenges the script written by fear and control. He says no to shame, no to repression, no to the tired belief that a woman's desire must be hidden in shadows. He says yes to light, yes to celebration, yes to freedom. And is this not the mark of the greatest among us, the ones who do not only live for themselves, but set others free? Think of the trust it builds. When a woman feels seen, when she feels tasted, when she feels cherished in the place where she is most vulnerable, the walls fall. The fear dissolves. Suddenly there is nothing hidden, nothing restrained. She can laugh loudly, cry openly, move wildly. She can be herself, whole and unashamed, and who gave her that freedom, who held the mirror that showed her she was beautiful even in her rawest form. The man who did not turn away, the man who bowed down gladly, the man who gave with no condition but her joy. Tell me, is that not greatness? To be the one who unlocks another person's truth, to be the one who coaxes out the wildness, the laughter, the release. Not every man can do this. Many are too hurried, many are too selfish, many are too afraid of what they cannot control. But the one who lingers, the one who devotes, the one who drinks deeply from the well of her desire, he is the rare one, the rare and the most. And let us not forget, there is art here. This is no careless act. This is no clumsy stumble. This is craft. The skilled man learns the rhythm of her breath as a drummer learns the beat. He learns the language of her body as a poet learns the cadence of words. He learns the peaks and valleys, the soft moans and sharp cries, the moments to push and the moments to pause. He learns to improvise, to adapt, to play with patience and passion. And when the performance reaches its height, when the climax bursts forth, it is as grand as any opera, as breathtaking as any symphony, as unforgettable as any masterpiece. This is why I say, a man who gives this way is not only a lover, he is a creator. He is a composer of joy, a sculptor of sensation, a painter of bliss. He takes the canvas of her body and makes from it a masterpiece that cannot be hung on any wall, cannot be sold in any gallery, but will live forever in her memory. She will not forget him. She will not forget that moment, because true giving leaves its mark. And yes, there is bravery too. Do not underestimate it, because to do this act, a man must cast aside the fear taught to him since childhood. He must ignore the voices that told him this is dirty, this is shameful, this is beneath him. He must spit out that poison and choose instead to drink the nectar of freedom. He must stand against the mockery of other men who call him weak, and he must know within himself that it is they who are weak. It is they who tremble before true intimacy. It is they who fear what he has already conquered. He must walk boldly into the territory others flee from, and in doing so, he proves himself stronger than them all. And if you still doubt his greatness, I will ask you this: where is the selfishness in this act? Where is the pride? Where is the arrogance? There is none. There is only devotion. There is only generosity. There is only the giving of time, of patience, of effort, of energy. And is this not what love is? Not to demand but to give, not to take but to share, not to make someone small but to make them vast. Then what is this act but the purest form of love itself? Now, some may say, is it necessary? Is it required? Must a man do this to prove himself? And I answer, no, it is not about necessity. It is not about obligation. It is about greatness. A man may live without ever kneeling, without ever giving, without ever tasting. But such a man will never know the fullness of intimacy, the fullness of joy, the fullness of freedom. He will never know what it is to be remembered, not for what he demanded, but for what he gave. He will never be the most, because the most are remembered. The most are whispered about long after they leave the room. The most are etched into the secret journals of memory, into the private songs of the heart. The most are honored with laughter that comes unbidden at the thought of them, with smiles that appear at midnight when the world is silent. The most live on, not as shadows but as stars, burning brightly in the universe of someone else's pleasure. And think of the balance it creates. Because in a world that tells women to give and men to take, here comes the man who flips the script. He says, tonight I give, tonight you receive. Tonight you are the queen, tonight you are the goddess, tonight you are the storm and the fire and the flood, and I am the willing worshipper at your altar. Do you see how radical this is? Do you see how beautiful? It is balance restored, harmony achieved, love made whole. And I tell you, when a man learns this, when he embraces this, when he no longer fears to give, something shifts in him. He becomes more at peace, more confident, more alive. He walks taller because he knows he has nothing to prove. He knows his worth is not in domination, but in generosity. He knows his manhood is not fragile, but strong enough to kneel. He knows that pleasure is not a one-way street, but a circle, a loop, a cycle of giving and receiving, of offering and returning. And in this knowledge, he becomes not only a better lover, but a better man. He becomes more attentive, more patient, more compassionate in all things. Because intimacy is not a separate world. It is a mirror of how we live, how we give, how we love. And the man who learns to give fully in this most vulnerable place will learn to give fully in life itself. He will be more generous with his words, more open with his heart, more brave in his choices. He will become not just the most in the bedroom, but the most in the world. So I say again, let us celebrate them, let us lift them high, let us honor them without shame, without mockery, without hesitation. Because they have chosen the harder path, the braver path, the freer path. They have chosen to give where others only take, to honor where others only dismiss, to love where others only hide. And in that choice, they prove themselves not the least, but the most. And when the story of love is told, when the chapters of intimacy are written, when the history of devotion is sung, their names will not be forgotten. They will be remembered as the ones who dared, the ones who gave, the ones who worshipped without fear. And we will say of them without doubt, without hesitation, without shame, these men, these lovers, these givers, they are the most. And let me tell you something else. This is not an act confined to the body alone. No, it reaches beyond the flesh. Because when a man bows down in this way, he is not only touching her skin, he is touching her spirit. He is saying, you deserve joy, you deserve release, you deserve a love that celebrates you completely. And do you know how rare it is for a woman to hear that without words, without conditions, without hesitation? It is rare, my friends, and that is why the man who offers it is not ordinary. He is extraordinary. He is rare, he is the most. When a woman feels that kind of love, she blooms, she glows differently, she walks differently. She knows she has been cherished, and that knowing lingers long after the act itself is finished. It stays with her like a secret crown upon her head, like a song only she can hear. And who gave her that crown, who placed that song in her soul? The man who was brave enough, patient enough, generous enough to serve her with his mouth, his time, his devotion. He gave her a memory that cannot be stolen. He gave her proof that she is worthy of worship. And here is the truth. Women do not forget. They do not forget the man who gave them this gift. Long after they forget the names of the selfish, long after they forget the faces of the hurried, they will remember the one who made them tremble, the one who made them laugh, the one who made them feel whole. His name is etched upon the body itself. His presence is carved into the history of her skin. And that is why he is the most, because he has achieved immortality in memory. But let us also speak of joy, the joy of the giver. Because this is not sacrifice alone. No, it is pleasure too. The man who does this is not only giving, he is receiving. He receives the sound of her moans, the trembling of her thighs, the tightening of her hands in his hair. He receives the storm of her climax, the flood of her release. He drinks it in, not with fear, but with delight. He laughs into her skin. He smiles against her body, because her joy is his joy. Her ecstasy is his reward. There is no loss here, no diminishment, no lowering of his manhood. There is only more connection, more intimacy, more passion. And think of what it teaches. Because a man who knows how to listen to a woman's body in this way, a man who learns to read the small signs, the subtle cues, the quiet whispers of desire, becomes wise in all intimacy. He learns patience. He learns sensitivity. He learns that love is not about rushing to the end, but about savoring the journey. He becomes the kind of lover who does not rush through life, who does not chase only his own climax, but who delights in the slow unfolding of another's pleasure. And that wisdom once learned is never forgotten. Yes, my friends, we can laugh, we can blush, we can hide our faces behind our hands. But the truth is here, bold and shining. The men who do this are the men who have found a higher path. They are not trapped by ego. They are not bound by fear. They are not weakened by shame. They are strong enough to give, brave enough to kneel, confident enough to say, I will serve you with everything I have. And that makes them not just lovers, but legends. And let me remind you, this act is not mechanical. It is not simply a matter of technique. It is not simply moving mouth against flesh. No, it is about energy, about intention, about presence. A woman knows when it is done with love. She knows when it is done with reverence. She knows when it is done not out of obligation, but out of hunger, out of devotion, out of genuine desire to see her fall apart in joy. And when she feels that, she cannot help but open more, give more, trust more. It becomes a circle of giving, a spiral of intimacy that lifts them both higher. This is why I say, the men who lick are the most. Not because they perform a trick, not because they follow a manual, but because they bring their whole selves to the moment. They bring patience, skill, bravery, reverence, humor, and love. They do not hold back. They do not fear the taste of truth. They dive into it, they revel in it, and in doing so, they create a bond that cannot be broken. Now think of the message it sends to the world. A man who can give in this way is a man who refuses to be shackled by toxic pride. He refuses the lie that masculinity means distance. He refuses the lie that intimacy is shameful. He refuses the lie that a woman's body is unworthy of celebration. And when he refuses these lies, he opens the door for others to do the same. He becomes an example, a light, a leader of freedom. And that is why he is not just the most in private, but the most in spirit. Do you see it now? Do you feel the truth of it? The world tries to make this small, to make this dirty, to make this laughable. But it is not small. It is not dirty, it is not laughable, it is vast, it is sacred, it is noble, and those who embrace it, those who embody it, those who live it, they are not the least. They are the most, and so tonight, let us not whisper, let us not shy away, let us not hide our words. Let us declare it clearly, boldly, joyfully. The men who give in this way, the men who bow without shame, the men who lick with devotion, they are the most. And nothing will ever take that truth away. And still there are those who resist, who cling to pride, who cling to fear. They wrinkle their noses, they scoff. They turn away as though they are too grand, too proud, too pure. But purity is not in refusal. Purity is in acceptance. Grandeur is not in denial. Grandeur is in devotion. Pride is not in what you refuse to touch. Pride is in what you embrace fully, without shame. The men who walk away from this act walk away from a door that could lead them to greatness. The men who enter it boldly, hungrily, lovingly, are the ones who discover treasures beyond measure. And think of the intimacy it creates. Because when a man devotes himself in this way, he builds a trust that cannot be bought, cannot be faked, cannot be imitated. A woman who has felt that kind of worship feels safe, feels held, feels honored. She knows she has been given a gift not of flesh alone, but of respect, of attention, of care. She knows she has been seen in her fullness, not only as a body, but as a being. And in that moment, intimacy becomes real. Walls crumble, fear dissolves, masks fall away. What remains is truth. Truth, my friends, is not tidy. Truth is messy, truth is raw, truth is wet and trembling and loud, but truth is beautiful. And the man who dares to enter that truth, who does not run from it, who does not silence it, but who leans into it, drinks it in, delights in it, that man is not afraid of reality. That man is not afraid of life. That man is the most alive of all. And yes, it is playful too. Let us not forget that. This act is not only solemn, not only reverent. It is joy, it is laughter. It is the mischievous grin of a man who knows the power he holds. It is the teasing flicker, the patient pause, the sudden surge. It is the game of giving just enough, then pulling back, then giving more until the flood cannot be contained. And when the laughter bursts out in between the moans, when the tears of joy run down her face, when the bed shakes with both seriousness and silliness, That is when love is fullest. That is when love is richest. That is when love is most true. And do not mistake this playfulness for weakness. Do not mistake this laughter for lightness. It is easy to demand, easy to command, easy to take. It is harder to make someone laugh in the middle of pleasure, harder to build trust through teasing, harder to turn intimacy into joy. That is skill, that is mastery, that is greatness, and greatness is what we are talking about tonight. Not ordinary men, not average lovers, not those who stop at the surface. No, we are talking about the ones who go further, deeper, fuller. The ones who do not turn away when the body is real, when the taste is strong, when the moment is unpolished. The ones who press forward, who embrace, who worship. They are the ones who become legends, not because they took, but because they gave. Think of it, the mouth, an organ of speech, an organ of eating, an organ of laughter, now becomes an organ of worship. It becomes the bridge between man and woman, between body and soul. It speaks without words. It says, I love you, I honor you, I desire you, I celebrate you. And she hears it, not in her ears, but in her body, in her blood, in her bones. She hears it as surely as any song, as surely as any prayer. That is the power of this act. That is the power of devotion. And what of the world that shames it? The world that whispers it in corners, the world that turns it into a joke, the world that tries to bury it in silence. That world is afraid. Afraid of pleasure, afraid of intimacy, afraid of equality. But we are not afraid. We will not hide. We will not whisper. We will not turn away. We will declare the truth plainly, joyfully, unapologetically. Because the truth cannot be buried. The truth will always rise. And the truth is this: the men who lick are the most. And I tell you, when a man gives in this way, he is transformed. He is no longer a boy, no longer a stranger to intimacy, no longer a shadow of himself. He becomes whole, he becomes radiant, he becomes free, because he has faced what others fear, and he has found joy there. He has found beauty there. He has found love there, and no one can take that away from him. So do not call him weak. Do not call him shameful. Do not call him less. Call him bold. Call him brave. Call him free. Call him generous. Call him what he truly is, the most. And when the lights dim, when the world quiets, when two bodies come together not in shame but in celebration, it is this man who stands apart. Not the one who demanded, not the one who rushed, not the one who took and fled. No, the one who stayed, the one who lingered, the one who gave until she could give no more, the one who turned her body into music, her moans into melody, her climax into crescendo. He is the one remembered. He is the one honored. He is the one who deserves to be called the most. And so I leave you with this truth, carved not in stone but in flesh, not in books but in memory. The men who bow down, the men who give with mouth and heart and courage, the men who turn shame into joy and fear into freedom, they are not the least. They are the most. And let us not forget the history written into this act. For centuries women were silenced, told their pleasure did not matter, told their bodies were meant only to serve. How many generations passed where intimacy was measured by the man's finish, not the woman's fulfillment? But here stands the man who changes that story. Here stands the man who says, no more. Your pleasure is not an afterthought, not an accident, not a rare gift tossed to you out of pity. Your pleasure is the center, the crown, the very reason we are here. And in saying this, in showing this with lips and tongue and breath, he rewrites history. He restores balance. He returns power. This is why the act is greater than the act. This is why it is more than sex. It is protest. It is revolution. It is rebellion against a world that told women to be quiet. It is rebellion against a world that told men to fear intimacy. It is rebellion against the idea that love must be won. sighted. And the men who dare to join this rebellion are not small men, not timid men, not ordinary men. They are the bold, the daring, the generous. They are the most. And how do we know they are the most? Because they are unafraid of truth. Truth is messy. Truth is wet. Truth is raw. Truth is uncontrollable. And yet they do not turn away. They go closer. They do not gag on truth. They drink it. They do not fear the flood. They welcome it. They do not hide from the power of a woman's climax. They chase it. They build it. They honor it. This is fearlessness. This is courage. This is greatness. And when that moment arrives, when her cries fill the room, when her body arches like a bow, when the waves crash again and again, who is she thanking in her heart? Who is she holding onto like a lifeline? Who is she remembering in the marrow of her bones? It is not the man who demanded, not the man who rushed, not the man who thought only of himself. It is the man who stayed, the man who gave, the man who knelt. His face is burned into memory. His name is etched into breath. His touch is carved into skin. She will not forget him. She cannot forget him, because he is the most. And do you see how love grows from this? Because once a woman feels honored in this way, once she feels safe, once she feels celebrated, she opens her heart wider. She trusts more, she gives more, she dares more. The relationship grows stronger, the bond grows deeper, the love grows brighter. And who began that growth? Who watered that garden? Who sowed those seeds? The man who worshipped her body without shame. The man who gave first so that she might give more. This is why he is the most, not just in bed, but in love. And yes, the act is erotic. Yes, the act is playful, but it is also healing. Because how many women carry wounds of shame, of silence, of rejection? How many women were told their bodies were too much, too dirty, too frightening to be celebrated, and then one day a man comes and he proves them wrong. He proves their bodies are glorious. He proves their pleasure is worthy. He proves their desire is holy. In that moment, healing begins. Shame cracks, silence breaks, rejection dissolves, and she feels whole again. That is not just pleasure, that is medicine, that is salvation. So I say it again, louder, clearer, firmer. The man who does this is not less. He is not small, he is not weak. He is the healer, the rebel, the artist, the giver. He is the most. And we must laugh at the irony, must we not? The world calls this act dirty, the world calls this act low, yet there is nothing higher, nothing nobler, nothing purer. To kneel in joy, to bow in reverence, to give with no thought of taking what could be holier, what could be more divine. This is not degradation, this is exaltation, this is not filth, this is worship, and the men who understand it, the men who embrace it, the men who live it, they rise above all others. So let us picture him now. Picture him between her thighs. Picture him unhurried. Picture him devoted. Picture the way he looks at her, not with fear, not with shame, but with hunger and love. Picture the way she melts beneath him. Picture the way she loses herself in his gift. Picture the aftermath, the glow, the laughter, the closeness. Do you see it? That is not weakness. That is greatness. That is not the least, that is the most, and it is time we stopped pretending otherwise, time we stopped mocking, time we stopped whispering, time we stopped shaming, time we said it plainly, proudly, joyfully. These men are kings, these men are bold, these men are free, these men are the most. And when the history of love is written, when the stories of intimacy are told, when the songs of devotion are sung, it will not be the selfish remembered. It will not be the hurried remembered. It will not be the ones who ran. It will be the givers, the worshippers, the fearless, and the chorus will echo again and again, as it must tonight, as it must always. They are the most.